Welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and tonight I'm joined by my co-hosts Amanda and Christian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from The Mandalorian Chapter 9, The Marshal. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where this beautiful piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. And with that said, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
This one, spoiler alert, is going to be towards the top of that list.
Yeah.
It was so good.
So enjoyable.
Yeah.
So enjoyable. Speaking of enjoyable, Christian, you're back.
I am back. Thank
Yay.
you for holding down the fort while I'm gone.
We made a mistake. We did Tales of the Jedi a week. Christian couldn't be here. We had a guest who we thought was going to be able to be on, who knew a lot about lore. The guest ran into some trouble, wasn't able to be on. He's fine. He didn't get hurt, but fine now, but wasn't able to join us. And yeah, we just really appreciate, all the people that were out there, mostly just me, that was just like, what does Christian even do?
Yeah. What do I do?
What does he even do?
But we decided at the end of last episode that did we say the wheels on
He's
this?
the wheels.
Yeah.
If we are a car, you are the wheels. So you keep us grounded.
I was
in lore.
listening and I appreciated that. I laughed when you said that. I was like, that's really sweet of you guys. So, no, thank you for holding
What
down
am
the
I?
fort while I was gone.
You're the body.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
The
you're
body.
you are what
And
everyone
you're the
sees.
engine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drive the thing. I give it the start, the life, but you're what everybody sees.
Nice.
You're like, you created the website and everything else. That's the first impression.
The logo?
Mm-hmm. That's the
The
body of the
brand.
Mm-hmm. The name. That's you.
Yeah.
Christian's the wheels. He's
Yeah.
what makes us go. He
Yeah.
keeps us
Wheels are
grounded in the
cool.
lore and keeps us on track.
Speaking of on track, this episode was quite a treat.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
reviewing it after some time. It's been out, but it was so awesome to go back and watch it again.
Yep.
And I just forgot how enjoyable it was. I knew it was a good episode, but then watching it, I'm like, dang, they just knocked it out of the park. Great season opener.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What'd y'all think?
Well, let me give a quick summary
Oh,
for
yes,
those who
we do those.
Don't remember.
who don't remember. So in the season 2 opener, we pick up where we left off with Mando following his creed to reunite the child with his own kind. He's given information that a Mandalorian lives on a small, nearly non-existent town called Mos Pelgo, led by the Marshal Cobb Vanth in the iconic Boba Fett armor. Cobb says the Mandalorian can have the armor back if he helps him get rid of the Krayt Dragon, wreaking havoc on his town. Cobb and Mando, with the help of the townsfolk of Mos Pelgo and the Tusken Raiders, join forces to bait the Krayt Dragon and kill it.
Fantastic.
What an unlikely squad of people connecting together.
And a great plot for like a
Oh,
serialized episode. You know?
You know
Yeah.
me, I hate Tatooine.
Yeah.
I hate sand.
And this episode?
But this
It worked.
episode it did work. It made it worth going back to Tatooine for.
Yeah, they didn't like beat the crap out of the fan service or make it like they didn't overdo it. It was like such a well-balanced fan service servicing the plot, but really good and purposeful to where we're learning more. We see what a Krayt Dragon finally looks like in Star Wars.
Yeah. And it feels a lot like Dune,
Yes.
if I'm being honest. This episode could have been called Dune.
Yes.
For me, what got me about this, and I normally don't love a whole lot of this now because we've had it so much, but especially at the time, I don't know if we've seen something more Star Warsy to this point in Star Wars history, where at first you see the Gamorrean guards.
Mhm.
First time we'd seen them in years. We get Pelimoto. You
Heck
go to Tatooine. You get reintroduced now when he says, "Oh, the Mandalorian's on Tatooine." I'm thinking, "Oh, is that Boba Fett? Are we gonna see Boba Fett today? Are we gonna see Boba Fett today?
Yeah.
Is this it? Is this the day?" And then you see Cobb Vanth wearing his armor, and you're a little disappointed, but you're like, you know what? I shouldn't be expecting that much. It's okay. It's okay. And then you get to meet Cobb Vanth, and he's awesome. And yeah, Cobb Vanth comes from the expanded universe. That's super cool.
Yeah, the Aftermath book, I think, was when
Yep.
we first see it.
And there
Oh,
goes my
okay.
trivia question. I gotta go find another one now.
Sorry,
Yeah.
man.
That's
Rewind,
that
edit it
actually
out.
was my trivia. All right, fine. You get Anakin's pod racer. You get a story about the Death Star, so it cuts to that. You get the crate dragon.
You get the Jawas.
You get Jawas.
Jawas.
You get those black melons that
You
what I
get
mentioned.
R5.
Wait, what are
R5?
the creatures in the very, very beginning with the red eyes that do we even know?
Oh yeah, I don't
that
know.
was cool.
Very
It
cool.
reminded
Very
me of
dark.
Star Wars
Creepy.
Bounty Hunter a lot. There was these creatures and that reminded me of that. Hitting when he hit Jango, when he hit Boba's jetpack, and he
Great nod.
what killed Boba saved Cobb. That
Mm.
move, and
Poetry.
it was amazing. And then he's like, "Oh, I don't. Whoever you give that to, you tell him I didn't break that." And then it ends where you're like, "Wow." I mean, we're not gonna get Boba, but you know what? That was cool. That was really nice. And then it pans to frickin' Tamara Morrison. 5 out of 5
5
for
out of 5.
immersive
5
universe.
5s across the board.
Just show his face.
It was amazing. That episode, I'm just beaming.
It
thinking
was
about
really cool to revisit this. First of all, this episode is really long. It's like 56 minutes. So
Thank
it
the Lord.
really, really
Yes,
filled
yes.
all of those minutes really well. And now watching it, since we have reviewed Book of Boba Fett, I'm able to then see how this episode really kind of sets up that story too, with the Tusken Raiders and their culture, and even the stigma against that culture that the
Yeah.
citizens have against them.
Yeah, Mando brings them together. It was a good, like, character building episode for Mando too. You know, he's
Mhm.
getting people to work together again. Before I forget, Brody, you're not like naming off a bunch of good stuff, and I think I saw online somewhere the crate dragon, and the whole Tusken Raiders like beaming the egg out from. I thought of like Suka.
Suka. I know
I
that's
thought of that. But it took like inspiration, I guess, from the Knights of the Old Republic game, like the design for the crate dragon, and then like
Okay.
this pearl egg or something. I don't know. I didn't play the game that much, so forgive me, listeners. But I heard that was some.
That was
inspiration.
literally, I'm not even kidding. As I'm writing out my second trivia question,
Oh,
the question
I'm
was,
just gonna
in what
stop.
video game, insert the Knights of the Old Republic, does the crate dragon first appear? Dude, stop it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna shut up. You two talk
Literally,
about
like
this
for
episode.
the audience that's not watching the video, when you see me wildly panning over here in my left hand, you're like, what is he doing? It's me trying to type out and get a trivia question, and I'm like, come on, continue to talk, Christian.
My
out facts.
apologies.
You see, we missed Lore for 1 week, and he comes in and he just
Like, bow, bow, bow,
Bow,
bow.
bow, 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 bow.
Sorry. I did give the lore a 5 out of 5 on this one.
Yeah, we
You did.
all gave the immersive universe a 5 out of 5 on this. So that is definitely our highest ranked part of this episode.
What was the lowest part? I'm curious of our conglomerate rank on this spreadsheet.
Ooh, the lowest.
And it's not low. It's
and
just
it's not
in
low. It
comparison.
is not low in any way, shape, or form. In fact, let's take a look here. It happens
the
to be the
story?
story.
Which we all gave 4s, which is still
It would
great.
be 80%. Look, the story itself, just be fair, wasn't perfect. It was a little bit basic. I mean, it was a good story. Nothing wrong with this story. But if you take out the characters and the details and the immersive universe, all of those things, and you just see what this was, all right, Mando goes in to get armor. He meets this guy. There's
Needs to get
presented
the
a
armor.
problem. He says, okay, side quest. You want this? You got to do this. And you get the armor back, and he gets it.
And it was a very enjoyable side quest / it still contributes to the main story, obviously. But it was great because it's a serialized, self-contained story.
Yes.
And that's what we like in, if you're going to do a live action show, do it like that. That's great.
According to KG here in the comments, said it might be their favorite Mando episode.
Fantastic. I would not fault you for that, KG.
What a powerhouse of an episode to open up season 2.
It's not my favorite. It might be my favorite. I don't know. I haven't ranked the other ones. I know there's one episode in particular coming up in season 2 that I'm really excited. But there's plenty of bangers in this season. really thankful when we get
You
to
know,
talk
I don't
about
even
that.
remember a lot of them.
I know.
I do
I'm
remember the
excited.
frog homie.
Okay.
Yep.
I do remember the frog one. I remember Bill Burr
Oh, that's
breaking down.
right.
Yep.
I remember Boba Fett going ham on some stormtroopers.
That's right. That is
What?
wow. Yeah.
I remember
alert.
Giancarlo Esposito getting the kid back and going toe to toe with Mando with the darksaber. There's a lot of good stuff this
Yeah, there
season.
is.
That Ahsoka's this season.
You gotta stop me. Let's not get too carried away, okay? Let's save that.
It was funny though because before this season, we hadn't seen so much just Star Warsy stuff in our faces.
Mhm.
And then it's like Luke, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, and characters from the expanded universe and more. And you're just like, I can't. And what's her name from Clone Wars and Rebels? Bo-Katan.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
Jesus, you're just like the amount of characters they brought into this show that I feel like it all works. All those characters, excluding Boba Fett, makes sense to me.
Mhm.
This
Boba
fan
Fett's
service done
fine.
right, treated well, and it contributed very much to the
Even Boba Fett's not that crazy.
furthering of the story.
KG also posted, I love the Tuscans and everyone working together. Me too.
Mhm.
The Tuscans are such a great character. And we talked about this when we went over Book of Boba Fett, but how hard it is to be an actor with so much clothing and your entire face is masked and you're not speaking real
Mm.
words. And you're also using this like newly developed sign
If
language.
this episode was the first time
Yeah.
they use that sign
And
language.
that is so impressive.
deaf
Even
actor
like
created it.
even the like running and sprinting that
Yeah.
they do from the Crate Dragon, I was just like, man, those actors
That
are
was cool.
working their butts off.
Man, and they really were. And just the dedication. Yeah, they created that language this episode. And again, it's the first time before Book of Boba Fett that we'd seen the Tuscans not be just downright vilified.
Hmm.
And you kind of see, okay, they kind of want the same thing here. And yeah, like, and I love that. What I really appreciated that Mando said is it wasn't like trying to paint this big broad brush that they're misunderstood. Like that's just this tropey thing we always see. Like, well, yeah, they kill people, this and that, but
He's
you
like,
don't
yeah, they're
understand them.
raiders, but they keep their words.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's like
they're
everyone,
raiders. Like, they're brutal. Like
yeah.
they're brutal.
and
Like,
it's kind of like everyone has their own self-interest to some point.
Mhm.
You need to understand that, but
he wasn't.
they
Yeah.
keep their word.
Ugh.
Also, can we talk about this really detailed moment where we're at like the Tusken Raider camp and it looks like they're brushing the Bantha's teeth?
Yes, with
Yes,
their
yeah.
Gaddafi stick.
Yeah, like picking his teeth out. I was like, is that the Bantha that they're offering the Crate Dragon? They just like wanted to make sure he was in pristine condition.
Worthy
And
sacrifice.
then he didn't even eat that Bantha. He
Yeah.
ate the other Raider.
That was a great misdirection.
That was good.
That
yeah.
was good, done well, and it was cool. Yeah, it was like showing them the multi-purpose tool of that staff.
It was very cool.
And we got what were they called? The black melons?
The black melon.
Yeah.
First time we saw
I really
those.
It
want to
stunk.
go to Galaxy's Edge and be able to have one of them.
You can get those there.
I don't think so, but I want it because Cobb
Now that
Vanth says
Bob-
they like smells bad or something.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, it stinks" or something like that.
And then the Tusken Raider was like, I'm gonna kick
Get
your
the
butt if you say
frickin-
that again to my
Dude.
face.
Cobb Vanth might be in my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters.
From just this one episode?
Dude, it was really good. It was really good. I would take Cobb Vanth over Han Solo, over Leia, over Luke.
Whoa.
Yeah,
man.
I would take Cobb
Hey.
Vanth over Jango Fett. I would take him over Count Dooku.
Tamara Morrison.
I would take him over Darth Maul.
What?
I would take him not over Anakin or Obi-Wan, not over Ahsoka, not over Boba Fett. I would take him over Mando.
Wow.
I would take him.
I think you're just saying things now.
I wouldn't take him over Yoda.
Of all those people, you're saying Yoda.
This is probably he might be in my top 5. I'd take him over Chewie.
He's got great hair.
He does have great hair.
Better hair than Chewie.
So, Christian, since you're a little bit more familiar with Cobb Vanth from the Legends, like what can you tell us about any of his story, like outside of this?
That's all a facade. I really don't know that much, other than I heard, from the Aftermath books, that was canon. So post Disney stuff. he, I think, is first introduced in those books. But just the fact that they did something like that, like they pulled, minor side character from the books, plopped him in this show as a really cool character helping elevate Mando. That was just really cool to reward those fans, who's read those books and whatnot. But yeah, I can't.
It was kind of a great misdirect too, because you assume from the beginning of the episode that he's going to be the villain. Like, oh, you stole this armor, and you're here to like either Mando and Cobb Vanth are going to have to fight.
Yeah.
That's kind of the setup. And it's like,
love that.
actually, let's work together.
Yeah, and she's like, I see you coming here.
I thought it was so cool when he's retelling the story of how he defended the town.
Yeah.
And he has like that Iron Man moment, which I'm sure Jon Favreau wanted to put in there, where he just launches the missile, blows up the speeder. And I was like, that is like Iron Man vibes right
Very
there.
much so.
If there was anyone that deserves to wear Boba Fett's armor besides Boba and Jango, it's Cobb Vanth.
I think Cobb Vanth looked better in Boba's armor than Boba does.
Whoa! Hot take.
He's got a swagger. I'll give you that.
When he walked in, it does throw me off every time I see him. When he walks in, he's got this like lengthy, gangly, like it's too small for him type.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's better.
He wears it,
He does wear it. He wears it well.
So is it considered cultural appropriation?
How so?
Because Cobb Vanth is wearing Mandalorian armor.
It's against the creed.
And it's against the creed. It's basically cultural appropriation, which means Cobb Vanth is canceled.
Yo.
Absolutely.
Not
Just
in my
saying.
book. He can do no wrong. Unless he pulls a Kanye.
He did work it out with the Mando.
What if since he repurposed it for good? Saving the town, like that town is alive almost solely because of the combo of Cobb Vanth and the armor.
I was curious though when he took out all of those, like what was that, minor clan or something? Clan of just a bunch of minors. They got taken out by a bunch of kids. Anyway,
he's just cracking up over here.
I just thought it was funny.
But the miners were like
7
someone needs to take control of this.
He goes out and gets Boba Fett armor and takes out all these kids. Anyway, back to what we were saying. I love how like 8 or 9 guys just hop in their little like car or whatever that like vehicle is, that ship, and like book it. And I'm like, y'all could probably. He only took out like 4 guys in the saloon.
Yeah, you definitely outnumber him.
Yeah, they're not.
But I think it was maybe the Mandalorian armor that was just so
right,
intimidating.
We were like, we're good.
We can't get all of like the Mandalorian race pissed off at us.
Yeah, they're like, we're out. That was great. It was great all around.
I'm also interested in knowing a little bit more about why Mos Pelgo kind of fell off the grid. Like Peli kind of sets it up in the beginning that after the war, it pretty much like disappeared off of the planet, and they don't take kindly to strangers, all that kind of stuff. But why?
Because someone erased it from the archive memory. No, I don't. Yeah, maybe Cobb Vanth had something to do with, self-preservation. Like, we got to get this town off the map. Or I don't know.
And then we later see in Book of Boba Fett, they go by Freetown.
Yeah, that's way like lamer.
Yeah, it's such a lame name.
Freetown. Yeah, that was written. I could tell the writers of Book of Boba Fett did that one.
Welcome, Rural Farm Boy.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
Glad to have you here. All right. Well, with all that said, this episode ranks.
There's more stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Got a lot to talk about.
The Camtono still. The Camtono. The container thing that
Crystals.
like the ice cream bucket machine thing.
Yeah.
That was cool to have its heyday back and repurposed in another episode. It's got a special place.
Wait, where else have we seen that?
So in forgive me, in the original trilogy, A New Hope, when one of the rebel pilots is running, they're like, hey, just take this and carry it. And I'm totally butchering it. There's a great story behind it too, but he's just carrying this like ice cream appliance maker. And people like picked it out and they're like, "What the heck is this guy doing?" And so it'll make its heyday back in.
That's
And
awesome.
they showed it in
That's
the
cool.
first season of Mandalorian.
I
as
do
well.
want to say, Christian, there was an episode where you were here, and I said in an on air that in A New Hope, Mon Mothma talks about how many Bothans died, getting us this
Not A New
information.
Hope.
And I got railed
Oh.
online. You got this. You got to call me out for this
Oh,
on the
that's
show.
my bad.
I don't know what happens in
That's
Star
my
Wars.
fault.
Yeah.
I actually had people physically call me and be like, "How dare you have a Star Wars podcast?" And I'm like, "Wait till you see next week when I forget Count Dooku's name."
Yeah.
You just wait. I thought I was a fan, and I started the show. I met real fans.
Dude, Star Wars is a religion to some people. You
Yeah.
can't screw up.
I
the
just like it.
commandments,
That's all it is. I like
lore.
Boba. I like Boba Fett. That's my
I
guy.
He's
like
a simple
Boba Fett.
man.
I'm a simple man.
Empire Strikes Back. Thank you, Farm Boy.
He says it's in The Empire Strikes Back. Willowhood has what does it say?
Cantono and Cloud
Okay,
City.
Cantono.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you,
Nice.
Real Farm Boy. This is why
Um,
we like having people here. They tell us what
Yes.
we don't know.
Because we are imperfect people.
I wanted to call out the technical aspects, which we've
Mm.
kind of touched on a little bit.
Beautiful.
For me, like even in the opening sequence when we go to this like boxing ring and Mando's kind of like cornered and has to fight his way out of there. First of all, we get a kill,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Like knife to the heart. But I also noticed the Foley design of the way people are hitting the Beskar armor. And that also I noticed it and I was like, that's great detail. Like it needs to sound different and feel different than what it was last season. And then of course we can't like not talk about the creative feat that is the Krayt Dragon and all the sounds that came from that.
Yes.
Like the technical aspects popped off this episode.
It looked to scale like it was, you felt you were in that world. It didn't feel like the volume.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved that first scene when, or like near the beginning when he hangs the guy upside down
Mhm.
and he's just leaving him to die. And I got like real Dark Knight vibes.
Oh,
when-
yeah.
Or Batman Begins when he's just like holding the guy. Swear to me. Swear to me.
You won't die by my hands.
Yeah, you knew exactly what he meant by that.
So good.
And of course, we got to talk about your boy, LG, Ludwig Göransson,
Dude.
who really,
Brought it.
I've
Quite
tried
pleasant.
to match your, because obviously you hail him in a high regard, and I try to dampen him for the sake of the podcast sometimes.
Mm.
But this
Wet
episode, this episode, I was really impressed with the score. I felt like it didn't rely on the Mandalorian motif being played
Right.
all over in different ways. Like it did have a lot of creativity behind
Good
it.
variation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm with it.
especially when like the Tuscans are first coming to Mos Pelgo and they start playing. It was just different for
Mhm.
that series, and
Yeah.
I got to hand it to him. He did really well. It was very
Yeah.
pleasant to listen to.
Fantastic job. Okay, so with all of that, this episode ended up ranking at 88.27% in total, which, if you were curious, happens to be our third highest ranked episode ever, behind only The Eye, which is number 1 from Andor season 1, episode 6, and number 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi part 5, which sits at 88.4%, and part 1 number 1, Andor season 1, episode 6, 89.73 The Eye. So
That's pretty
A lot of
high.
praise.
it's pretty good. So, and then for The Mandalorian, which is really interesting because this season may indeed have a lot of bangers. At the end of season 1, we ended up ranking The Mandalorian at a 75.91%. However, with this episode alone, it bumped it up. The overall show of The Mandalorian, the score is now 77.28%, behind Obi-Wan Kenobi at 78.04. So it's coming up for that number 2 spot.
I
So a
think it'll be-
question for us then is, since we have yet to review an episode or a series with multiple seasons yet,
Mhm.
obviously like Clone Wars will have to be like the best because it'll have the most numbers to
Maybe.
it. So then do you like divide it by the amount of seasons to get
I don't think so.
a safer number.
'Cause that's
I
that
don't
is
think Clone Wars. I think one thing we've learned is the more episodes you have, the more risk you have for getting a lower score. Because
agreed.
like you
Yeah.
have more of those
Filler,
fluff
mhm.
episodes. People get so offended when you say fluff episodes.
But the Clone Wars has plenty of them.
But we will acknowledge those. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I do think, yeah, it won't. That'll be going against that series.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. That average, and especially having seen all of the Clone Wars, like it has some of the highest highs,
hmm
but it's got some real low lows too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of folks who say Clone Wars is the best Star Wars TV show. I will be stunned if our podcast ends up ranking it there with that score.
hmm
But you raise good questions, good points. Like I do feel comfortable comparing like Obi-Wan to multiple seasons of The Mandalorian because Obi-Wan's like its own self-contained
Sure.
thing, and it's like we're not expecting a season 2.
hmm
Um,
But we can also still compare season 1 of Mando versus season 2.
for sure,
You know.
sure.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to beat Andor, which sits for us at 80.18%. But hey,
You never know.
You know,
we'll see.
I just have to say, since we're bringing up Andor, ever since it finished, I've been dying to binge it again. Like watching it week by week was painful, just having to wait every
Yeah.
time. I'm such a binge watcher,
Mm.
and I can't wait to just re-immerse myself in it now that it's all out.
Yeah.
And they're like bite-sized feature films now with the arcs. You can
Yeah.
just break those up into movies if you want, or just watch the whole thing.
It's no Tamara Morrison though. So for me, the draw to go back's a little less than. I mean, heck, I couldn't even watch the Star Wars prequels until he dubbed back over Boba Fett. So
He was dubbed over him?
yeah,
I
because
didn't know
the
that.
original actor wasn't Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, but he doesn't even say anything.
Oh, he does.
He says like one
He's
line.
no good to me, date.
They dub over his
Oh, they-
voice in Empire.
That's so
As you
insignificant.
wish. What else does he say?
Jeremy Bullock, though, original.
Put
The original Boba Fett in our hearts.
Han Solo in the cargo hold. Yeah. That's all I remember. No, actually, the original actor, whatever his name was.
He just said it.
Really?
Jeremy Bullock.
Oh, he wasn't as good, but he's really good. He's really good. He's just not as good. Listen, I grew up with the prequels.
Hey, I get it. I'm not going to fault you for having been born, the same
When you
time
were.
we were all born.
Like a month of each other.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you don't fault me for that. So that is this week's main part of our show where you talk about the core content. But now it's time to go into the hot take segment. So Lord Vader, let's get it.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It is hot takes time. And speaking of hot takes, I want to talk about a pretty spicy individual. Okay, now listen. I am a straight man. That to be said, I firmly believe that Cobb Vanth is by far the hottest character in Star Wars history. I'm not even attracted to him. I just give props where it's due.
He is a good-looking
He is
fella.
He is a
good
fine man.
Timothy Oliphant.
The ladies love that salt and pepper hair.
He brought it back, his U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens accent from Justified, and it just works in this show. And I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah, props to casting.
Yeah.
That was a killer casting call.
Yeah, man.
The man brought it.
Now, listen, you're talking to somebody who is a massive Adam Driver fan. But even I acknowledge that Adam Driver is hot in kind of like a little bit of an ugly way. And I like that. But Cobb Vanth is just really fun.
He's what
I
you'd
had
say
a hard
hot
time-
in a hot way.
Hot in a hot way,
Mm.
yeah.
Double hot.
I was like, surely that has to be a hairpiece. Like, he can't be that beautiful in the face and also have good hair.
Mm.
But I guess that's really
That's his hair.
KG's in the comments is an Adam Driver stan too. He's hot in an ugly way though, right? I'm not alone in that.
I don't
I think I see what you're
Adam
saying.
Driver is an attractive man myself.
I've had to fight a lot of people physically over
jeez.
Adam Driver.
Alright, good to know. That was a threat. I will rescind anything else I was going to say. No. Let me go through the list. I mean, I get there will be a lot of Harrison Ford folks
hmm
that will come at me for saying it, but they're wrong.
Well,
It's Cobb Vanth. It's Timothy Oliphant.
listen, I don't fault you. I think people can make arguments for some other. While we're objectifying people in the show, I would say, I mean,
on the topic,
you got Harrison Ford, you got
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen.
not better than Cobb Vanth.
Oh,
Ewan
dude,
McGregor?
he is in his prime. So
No,
even now,
no.
very handsome fella.
Very handsome.
Ewan
Sure.
McGregor,
Ewan, yeah,
just stoic.
but not
Even
Timothy
Poe
Oliphant.
Dameron.
Poe,
Stop, man. And I love how we're only listing the males in this. Like, there's no attractive Star Wars females.
if you start talking about the females, that's real dangerous territory.
Yeah, you
here,
don't want to
man.
objectify women on this podcast.
Beautiful
we can only
people
objectify
all around
men.
in Star Wars. That's all I'm saying.
Growing up, loved Natalie
No
Portman.
one will
Yeah.
forget Princess Leia when she was wearing the cinnamon buns hair and she pulled it off, and everyone's like, that's a ridiculous hairstyle, and she pulled it off. Y'all thought I was going a different direction that entire time.
Yeah, I did.
You knew you were going. You knew where you were going.
Oh man,
I do like how we've reclaimed that outfit as Hutt Slayer Leia.
really.
Yeah, I've heard people sunsetting Slave Leia, and I love Hutt Slayer because that's like the most badass moment
I can.
like ever.
I hear it so clearly, like the chain around his neck, like
Yep.
and you're like,
What other were there any? I mean,
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman's, yeah, they're attractive.
Daisy Ridley?
She's attractive. Not Cobb Vanth. though.
KG's got him coming up too. Ahsoka.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson's an attractive person. We'll see what Harrison Dula.
I think
say?
maybe we've swam enough in these dangerous waters. All right.
We're a show
Was
of
this-
So
rankings.
is it a
was-
hot take?
was this
1
your
to
hot
10,
take?
1 to 10, if we're ranking on scores for people objectifying, he's a 10. That's all I'm saying. He is a 10, and he's
is
got
that
the
a
charm.
hot take though?
Yeah, it's no denying
The
that is
most attractive.
God's beautiful creation
the
in
most-
Timothy Oliphant.
the most attractive person in Star Wars history. That's a hot take.
It's
I
a
know
hot
people will
take.
Fight me on Harrison
It's
Ford.
bold, yeah.
It's a hot take, and it's a good hot take. I disagree.
Who's better looking?
Hayden Christensen,
Okay.
Natalie Portman.
Mm. You know, it ruffles my feathers, and I'm gonna agree with you.
Let's
All right.
go, Timothy Oliphant.
so
I need
fine.
its own soundbite just for this. Give it to me. Roger. All right, Amanda, what hot take do you got?
You know, I think my hot take for this is I think this one episode of Mandalorian is better than all of season 1.
Hot dog.
Wait, what? Can you say it one more time for me? Because I don't think I heard you
I
right.
think this episode, season 2, episode 1, is better than all of season 1 of Mandalorian.
Oh, I mean,
That's a hot take.
Looking at our scores, we never had a single episode of Mandalorian. We only had 2 that ranked, 3 that ranked above 80,
Mm-hmm.
and barely.
I mean, the numbers support her claims.
Yeah, our season 1 average was 75.9.
So because the numbers back it, I'm gonna say milquetoast.
What? But you were
Uh,
shocked. You had me repeat
shocked.
the
Yeah,
tape.
but then I saw the numbers, and I guess my previous
One
self agreed
episode
with
is
you.
greater than a whole season.
All the content, the entire story.
That's a hot take.
That is a hot take.
Thank
All
you.
right, fine. I'm just gonna disagree. That
Okay.
moment where Mando, his finger gets held by Baby Yoda.
Mm.
What's her name? Gina Carano's character we meet.
hmm
Lots of good stuff. Giancarlo Esposito. Nope, I can't. Not this one episode. As good as it is, not better than a whole season.
It is a good hot take, and I will say, of all the episodes, I probably enjoy rewatching this one more. Oh, that is a good one. I'm conflicted.
Thank you. I just came up with it on the spot.
The numbers certainly support your claim, but better than the whole season. I don't know if I can go that far yet. I'm not there. I'm sorry.
I find your lack of good takes disturbing.
It's
There's-
too hot of a take. You guys weren't ready for it. yet.
I
Yeah.
was right. You weren't
That-
ready for it. You just dropped it out of the sky.
Yeah.
We didn't know what you're gonna say. Christian, what's your take?
If I have to have a hot
You
take,
do.
I thought of Cobb Vanth and Mando are a better team than Boba and Mando.
Ooh. Mandalorian brethren.
Mm. I just think they even look
Okay,
better in action.
So I am gonna agree.
That's because Timothy Oliphant is so dang attractive.
Yeah, but even with the helmet covering
Yeah,
up that
that's true.
attractiveness, I think
So
they.
I'm gonna agree, and here's why. I went back and I watched the fight scene from the tragedy where Boba takes out all those stormtroopers, and Boba is wrecking people in that scene, and it's amazing. And it's so funny because I went back and watched, and you see Mando and what's her name? The sniper.
Fennec?
Fennec
Shand.
Shand.
You see them basically pointing at the sky and randomly just kind of shooting slowly, but they're just kind of aiming, and it's super awkward.
Huh.
So as a tandem, that wasn't great. And the next time you see them fight together in the Book of Boba Fett, that fight was ridiculous. They're
In the
over
finale?
here. Yeah, they're jumping out in the middle of the streets. It's like they're not using any cover whatsoever. It was
They took on a whole army, man. Don't you dare downplay that.
just exactly. It was ridiculous. So all that to be said, I think this fight scene was greater. So
Awesome.
that's my 2 cents.
So do you think Cobb Vanth is a better partner with Mando than Boba?
Better combo?
Yeah.
All right. Hot take?
I agree with you. So yeah,
It's a hot take, and I also agree with you.
Hot dog.
Wow. I'm the only one that didn't get a Roger.
well,
But it was probably the hottest take of all.
It
that you
was
had.
it was arguably the hottest.
I think the heat scared us.
it
I
did.
think the being of my take was the hottest.
I mean,
By
I mean,
its
you were talking about
existence.
physical hotness.
yeah,
and
Amanda's
charm.
was
It's a
the
whole thing.
it
It's
is.
not-
It's
you got
his.
5
There's-
It's
categories.
his
Oh, yeah.
swagger.
You got
it's
looks,
his-
you have personality,
nuance, yes, yes.
intelligence. See, there's
And then also,
layers.
like when he does give the armor back to Mando, he has that really nice textured shirt. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh,
He's got,
I
like-
want to know where you got this from.
I didn't even have that thought. See, there's more complexity.
And he's got
layers.
the little hanky on him,
Yeah,
and I'm
he's
like,
g-
oh, you little
I d-
cowboy.
I didn't know Boba Fett could look good in a red scarf.
Yeah.
See, there you go. The more
Exactly.
we know, Cobb Vanth. All right. So that's this portion of the show. Time for trivia time.
This is the way to trivia time!
Okay, it is trivia time, and I have a question here. Fighting the Crate Dragon is similar to the video game Blank, in which you play as a character and fight the Crate Dragon on Tatooine. So, you can either what video game was it? Was it A, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Was it B, Knights of the Old Republic? C, Star Wars Bounty Hunter? Or D, Star Wars Republic Commando?
That's a great
Can you
list of
repeat
games.
the question again?
Yes, the question was, fighting the Crate Dragon is similar to the video game Blank, in which you play as blank character and fight a Crate Dragon on Tatooine.
I'm just gonna go because I've only played Jedi Fallen Order, which KG is in the comments saying that they don't game, but that one's a really good one. So, but because we already brought it up, I'm gonna go up with Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, Christian?
I better go with Knights of the Old Republic as well.
Well, the answer, in fact, is Star Wars Bounty Hunter, where you play as Jango Fett. and take out a crate dragon. And this was kind of paying homage to that with this whole thing.
Interesting. How did he do
Was
it?
I don't
Did he do it in the
really
same way, blow up his belly?
No, it wasn't the same way. But there was a lot of nods, I think, to again with those little creatures with the red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight with the crate dragon.
Okay.
So things they tried to do to make it a little bit similar in
Wait,
that
so-
regard. Boba Fett takes on the crate dragon here.
What was your question? I think you're wrong.
It's not. No, it says fighting the crate dragon is similar to the video game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, in which you play as Jango Fett and battle a crate dragon on Tatooine.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't really listening to your full question.
Just spaced out. Okay.
What'd you think I said?
You said once you said video game and whatnot. I was like, oh, it's nice. The Old Republic, because that's where they drew inspiration for the great dragon design. Blah 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 blah.
And then you like didn't listen to me. And
Yeah,
then
then
you
I-
also had the
I kinda
you
just-
had the-
I
you
kind
also
of
had
just
the
tuned
ability-
you out.
had the gumption to say I think you're wrong, and you don't even half listen.
Yeah, I tuned you out. Yeah, that was
It's
my
like we were
bad.
talking politics or something. You just tuned out and said
Like-
wrong,
I tuned you out.
wrong.
And I lost. I came out losing.
Yeah.
Wow, that takes a big man.
Okay. Since we're talking about the crate dragon again, can either of you explain to me how it went from the ground to the mountain to like on the ground
Oh.
again so swiftly? That was the only thing where I was like,
Tunnels.
Donald's
I don't know. It was cool though. I like
fermenting.
that was a good
Buckets.
subverting of expectations.
Yeah, true.
Because I was like, oh, Dune, here we go, boy. And then it's out of the mountain, not out of the
It
ground.
had like a very Godzilla moment.
yeah.
It felt like a theme park attraction or something. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is wild. Well, in total, this episode it was indeed wild. It was a lot of fun.
It's great.
A lot of fun to break down. Super excited for next week. We're going to be back live again next Wednesday evening. So if you were a part of the Wednesday crew tonight, you knew to be here. And we're going to talk about chapter 10, The Mandalorian. Super excited about that. So be sure to tune in for that.
Thanks for tuning in, KG and Rural Farm Boy.
Yep.
Great to have you.
All of the listeners who tune in. Thanks for jumping on with us. If you want to check out more Duel of the Ranks content, go to dueloftheranks.com. Just Google it. We're in a lot of places. We do a lot of things. We've got shirts. We sell swag. We got mugs. He's got a hat.
We've got fanny packs.
We still have fanny packs here. We've never sold one though.
I'll buy
Someone's
one.
missing out.
Someone's missing out on the DOTR.
Maybe
fanny
we'll
pack.
have to get matching fanny packs for Star Wars Celebration.
Yes.
I love that. And have like a poncho.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And we can
Yeah.
put our lightsaber hilt in the fanny pack. as we-
Yeah.
Ooh, we're
All
cooking with
right.
gas, crew.
All
We're
right.
cooking with gas. All right. Well, we'll be back. We know we're going to see Rural Farm Boy, KG here next week. So anyway, lots of fun. Thanks for the love, y'all. And we look forward to seeing you next week as we break down chapter 10. Take care.